Pastor Ed here with Daily Devotions for Friday, November the 10th, 2023. We're continuing our week of looking at some of the more well-known saints in church history. We talked about St. Augustine on Wednesday. Yesterday, on Thursday, we talked about St. Catherine of Siena. Today, we're going to talk briefly about St. Francis of Assisi, probably one whose name, even if you don't know much about him, you have probably heard. He was an Italian mystic and Catholic friar who founded the Franciscan order, although he never became a priest. But he was inspired to lead a life of poverty as an itinerant preacher. One of the most venerated figures in Christianity, he was canonized by Pope Gregory IX on the 16th of July in 1228. He is often associated with the patronage of animals and the environment. It became customary to this day for churches to hold ceremonies blessing animals on his feast day, the 4th of October. Along with Catherine of Siena, who we talked about yesterday, he was designated the patron saint of Italy, and San Francisco, California, here in the U.S., is named for him. He was born in 1181, one of the children of an Italian father who was a prosperous silk merchant and a French mother. Indulged by his parents, he lived the high-spirited life that was typical of a wealthy young man of that era. He was handsome, witty, gallant, and delighted in fine clothes. He spent money lavishly, although many remark about his bright clothing and rich friends and love of pleasures. His displays of disillusionment toward the world that surrounded him came fairly early in life, as is shown in the story of the beggar. In this account, he was selling cloth and velvet in the marketplace on behalf of his father when a beggar came to him and asked for alms. And at the conclusion of the business deal, St. Francis abandoned his wares and ran after the beggar. And when he found him, he gave the man everything he had in his pocket. His friends mocked him for his charity. His father scolded him in a rage that caused a separation between father and son that I don't believe was ever restored. Around 1202, he joined a military expedition, was captured and held as a prisoner for a couple of years, which caused him to reevaluate his life and made a decision to try to share the gospel in the hopes that God would convert them. On several occasions tried to take the message out of Italy, and for the most part seemed to always be thwarted by events that took place. But again, he founded the Franciscan order, and he and his followers celebrated, even venerated, poverty, which was so central to his character. And in his last written work, which was called the Testament, he said that absolute personal and corporate poverty was the essential lifestyle for members of his order. And again, he believed that nature itself was the mirror of God. He called all creatures his brothers and sisters and even preached to the animals, especially the birds. Well, on the 29th of November, 1979, Pope John Paul II declared Francis the patron saint of ecology. He wrote that Francis's love and care for creation was a challenge for contemporary Catholics and a reminder not to behave like dissident predators where nature is concerned, but to assume responsibility for it, taking care that everything stays healthy and integrated so as to offer a welcoming and friendly environment even to those who succeed us. In 2013, upon his election as Pope, the Archbishop and Cardinal Jorge Mario Bergoglio of Argentina chose Francis as his papal name in honor of Francis of Assisi, becoming Pope Francis. When asked about it, he told journalists that he had chosen the name to honor Francis of Assisi, and done so because he was especially concerned for the well-being of the poor. And it turns out it's the first time in history that a pope has taken this name. Again, he was, along with Catherine Siena, named the patron saint of Italy. There's a legend about St. Francis that in his early years as a wealthy and prestigious young man, he was very unhappy and void of purpose. While riding on his horse one day, he came upon a leper full of sores, and and it was grotesque like no leper he had ever seen before. And on previous occasions, he had simply ridden past the man, but this time he was moved to dismount and hug the leper. And as he wrapped his arms tightly around the leper, as he did so, the leper turned into Jesus. He's also known for saying some interesting things, some memorable things. He once said, "Start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible." Start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible. He also, and this is probably one of the more famous sayings associated with him, is St. Francis once said, "Preach the gospel to all the world, and if necessary, use words." To which someone has added, "Our lives may be the only Bible that some people ever read." But probably the thing that St. Francis is perhaps best remembered for, and in fact it appears in our evangelical Lutheran worship hymnal, although this prayer that we're going to close with is attributed to him, it's believed that it was actually written in France during World War I, perhaps by a Catholic priest, but it's been attributed to St. Francis, and it's called the Peace Prayer, and we'll use it to close. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. Where there's injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there's despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, it is in dying that we are born into eternal life. St. Francis of Assisi. Well, hope you can join me again tomorrow for one more daily devotion. I'll keep it a secret until then, who we're going to talk about. Until then, take care. Have a great day. Bye.